What's going on, guys? Jay the Black here. Salute to everyone tuning in. I want to talk about this influencer, socialite turned escort who is being jailed after she was caught supplying drugs to feed her habit. She had a $1,500 a day habit. Now, this is the type of stuff that you would read and that you would not read, but you would see in like movies or television shows. You didn't think that a woman would have this type of habit, and still seemingly be in one piece, but that's not true. I told y'all people can be out here snorting cocaine, popping pills, drinking alcohol regularly, and they look like your normal, typical, everyday person. They're functional alcoholics, they're functional cokeheads. They're out there. And this particular female is one of them. I don't know why she didn't think she would get caught. It doesn't seem like she did a lot to hide what was going on. And now she's going to be spending some time in jail. Now let's get into this particular article here from thenews.com.au. It says an embattled socialite cried as she told a court how she turned to selling herself and selling drugs to fund her $1,500 a day addiction. It wasn't enough that she probably was using a supply. She probably was buying a supply and using it too. I mean, there's a lot of women like this. A lot of your favorite Instagram influencers are on that stuff. They're just able to hide it, right? A disgraced Sydney socialite broke down in court. She described how she turned to selling herself and selling drugs to fund a $1,500 a day habit. Alexandra Moss was jailed for just under 2 years on Friday for dealing large quantities of drugs from her rental home in Rose Bay in Sydney's eastern suburb. Let me just say this. She would have got way more time if she was a guy. The fact that she only got 2 years lets me know that this is female privilege, because any man would have probably gotten at least about 10 years, if not more, depending on the drug dealing laws in Australia. She only got 2 years. I don't even think she may not even have to do the whole 2 years. That's that female privilege right there. The 27-year-old was arrested after police phone taps reveal photos of her selling and posting with bulging bags of cannabis, mounds of cocaine, and cartons of GHB. Police also discovered messages in which she brazenly discussed the supply, storage, and sell the drugs with friends and customers. So she was out here telling on herself. That's how she got caught. She did not think that she didn't think they would catch you. And she's bragging about this as if the authorities wouldn't find out about what she is doing. On Friday, Moss told the NSW District Court she was dealing drugs to feed her incredible bad cocaine habit. I told y'all, it ain't just jokes. In 2023, people are still doing cocaine. They're snorting it, which she estimates would have cost between $1,100 to $1,500 a day. The former eastern suburb it girl admitted she dealt illegal drugs between December 2020 and April 2021 to fund her very expensive addiction. The court heard she dealt more than 500 grams of cocaine over the time, and that she was in possession of more than 9.6 kilograms of 1 and 4, is it butanadril? I think that's how you pronounce it. A dangerous precursor to the take drug GHB when she was arrested. So wait a minute. So she has basically what is equivalent to GHB, and she's selling it. And you mean to tell me that she only gets 2 years? This is female privilege, man. Do you know how dangerous that drug is? And they're like, well, this is bad, but we're going to give her 2 years. Police discovered numerous photos and videos on Moss' phone of drugs including photos of her holding 2 bulging bags of cannabis next to her clearly visible and smiling face. That's why I'm saying, how you get 2 years? She's smiling. She's happy with what she's doing. I don't think she was under the influence while she's doing this. She's doing that to sort of brag about it. Judge John Pickering quipped she made life fairly easy for the police by documenting her crimes on her phone, but she still only got 2 years. She basically incriminates herself by taking photos and providing pretty strong breadcrumbs upon her arrest, he said. The court heard Moss had been introduced to drugs at age 17 while working at a medical practice in Sydney. She was introduced to drugs by people who had no business using drugs, let alone supplying a teenage employee, her lawyer Philip Bolton told. Oh, so it's everybody else's fault except for hers. So she takes no accountability for the fact that she decided to use them, but no, we want to blame others for giving her. Listen, even at 17, you should know right from wrong, and she chose wrong. This is a disgraceful thing that happened to this vulnerable young. Right. She's vulnerable. She's vulnerable. Y'all love making excuses for these heifers. This was a coke snorting, possibly a pill popping, dope dealing heifer that only got 2 years in jail because they feel like she's an attractive young white woman whose life should not be ruined because of this. And they only gave her them 2 years just to say, hey, we did something. The move sent Moss spiraling down a vortex of destruction as she began to use cocaine every day. The court heard the 27-year-old turn to being an escort because it paid in cash, which Judge Pickering termed the currency of drug supply. Pictures confiscated by police show Moss in possession of large amounts of cash, to which she made through escort work rather than supplying drugs. Since she was arrested for the drug charges, the Rose Bay resident has been diagnosed with ADHD, society, depression, stimulant use disorder. Mr. Bolton argued that she's medicated her undiagnosed cognitive impairment with cocaine, which calmed her and allowed her to concentrate. Well, if she did some research, there are plenty of other supplements out there you can take to calm you down. Cocaine was her choice. It was a form of self-medication that destroyed her dignity, destroyed her self-worth, destroyed her career prospects, and led her into a very, very degrading life circumstances. He said the defense lawyer told the court his client's state of mind was scrambled by her heavily daily use of cocaine, and she was unable to comprehend the impact of her offending. Moss testified on Friday that she was ashamed and disappointed herself, but her arrest had been a wake-up call. I believe because I was in such a drug state, my state of mind was not where it is today. Sure. Listen, if she would have got a slap on the wrist and let out, she probably went right back to using that coke. That's why you have to be severe. You have to make an example out of these women to stop this behavior from happening, so that another 17, 18-year-old who gets in that situation chooses not to do it. She should be a cautionary tale. Not, you basically give her a slap on the wrist and you really don't send a message. I believe if I didn't get captured that day, I would have overdosed. Sure. The offender is a good example why cocaine should not be held up as a good drug, a glamorous drug. He said her life went on a downward spiral, and here she is facing probably one of the worst days of her life. The judge told Moss that supporting her habit by supplying a significant amount of cocaine through Sydney had involving inflicting a lot of misery on other people. Moss was also charged with supplying large amounts of commercial amounts of the GBL, another precursor for GHB, after police traced a large container of the liquid in her possession. And that drug harms women. You know how many women, and I believe men as well, are drugged with that? And they still say, you know what, we're only going to give her 2 years. But you want to protect women. That drug does more damage to women than anybody else. Judge Pinkering deemed that she had been naive about the drug, which was out of her comfort zone of cocaine and cannabis. Yeah, sure. He told the court he was not convinced the 27-year-old had supplied the drug to anyone, but she had it in her possession. So you mean to tell me that she had this in her possession, but didn't know what it was? Yeah, sure. Because he had to say that because a 27-year-old woman wouldn't know what that was. We're not talking about a girl that's 20. We're talking about a grown woman who's 27 years old. You mean to tell me she didn't know what that was? She knew she had a valuable asset, but she didn't know how to use it, he said. The judge agreed that Moss' mental health issues had likely contributed to her impulsive decision-making. Listen, I wish men could get this excuse. You see, we as men, we don't get the mental health excuse. When we do something, we are judged by the laws. We don't get these type of excuse making. Look at all the excuse making for a grown woman who's a couple of years shy of 30. He recognized that imprisonment would likely result in significant deterioration of her mental. Oh, really? Wait a minute. Hold on. I've seen men get put in jail for child support. I've seen men get put in jail over miscellaneous things. No one cares about their mental state. The fact that they may have ADHD. They may have some mental disorder that wasn't diagnosed. They don't get this type of excuse making. They throw men in jail and they put men in jail and they throw away the key. They don't care about their mental health. Due to her mental health diagnosis, but he stressed it was the only punishment for her offending. The former socialite previously spent 2 days in custody on remand before she was released on bail. On the day she was released, she told the court she went back to her apartment and snorted leftover cocaine. Let me tell you what's going to happen when she gets out of jail. She's going to go back to snorting because you basically gave her a slap on the wrist. You making all these excuses for her. She's going to go back to snorting. She testifies she has not touched illegal drugs since then. The court heard Moss spent 5 months in rehabilitation centers and was working full-time while studying criminology in a bid to help others avoid the same mistakes. You can't have done any more as an offender to pull yourself out or admire that she's done, Mr. Bolton said. Judge Pinkering agreed that her commitment to rehabilitation, her mental health issues, and her relative youth were grounds for a very substantial finding of special circumstance. Proven rehabilitation is way more impressive than promised rehabilitation, he said. He sentenced Moss to a maximum of 4 years and 4 months behind bars with non-parole period of 23 months. I had seen where they say she got 2 years. Now they're saying that she was convicted of 4 years, but I think she's only going to do 2 years. I think she's going to do basically close to 2 years. I don't think she's going to do the whole 4 years. The sentence was backtracked in January to amount for time in custody and rehabilitation. So the 27 will be eligible for release in December of 2024. So she basically gets out next year. So she gets 2 years. A slap on the wrist. I find you are likely to lead a successful life upon completion of this issue, the judge told Moss. Yeah, why? Because she was able to look a certain way in court. There's a lot of functional cokeheads out here that can convince you of anything. Dressed in a black dress and blazer with dark lipstick, the former socialite sobbed in her scarf through the proceedings. As she was taken into custody, she smiled through her tears and blew a kiss at her family and friends assembled in court. People say, well, we shouldn't compare things as far as women and men. I'm telling you right now, man, she got a huge slap on the wrist because, men in these situations would have been thrown under the jail. The judge wouldn't have cared. The judge would have said, you know what? You're a danger to our society. We can't have you out here free. But here you got this heifer out here selling all types of stuff. And because she got a job and started school, anybody can do that. Does that mean that person is changed? It just means she was able to show you a part of herself that she wanted you to see. See, this is that female privilege. Everybody wants to feel sorry for these women, especially white women. White women will always get the benefit of the doubt. I don't care how it sounds, because y'all know I'm right. If that was a black dude with dreadlocks and he had done the same things, got a job, went to school, he would have still done by 5-10 years. I'm telling you right now, he would at least had to do at least by 5 years. But because she's able to show up to be in court a certain way and have done a few things for a few months, the judge he probably would have let her out, but he would have knew that would have been a bad look. Knowing this judge, he probably would have released her, had her released, but he had to do something. He couldn't just let her go. Right? So, I mean, maybe she'll turn her life around. I don't know. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Like this video and share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll see y'all next.